Hey everybody, I'm here with an art journaling video and I plan to create a collage page with some transparent layers in mark making, and I picked colors and papers that are the same that I've used on the left spread, and there is also a tutorial available for this art journal page on the left, and I will link that up in the end cards. I'm starting by adhering the collage papers with my glue stick. This one is a thin brown rice paper which I have stamped with acrylic paint, and I think it's a stamp from the Pensamox number 1 or 2 stamp set, but I will link all the products I'm using in the video description. The journal I'm using is from the Action store. I really love this art journal. It's super cheap. I think it's under €3 and it opens completely flat. That's what I really like. The paper is of course not the best, but it's very heavyweight, so it's perfect for mixed media. And as I go on top with a lot of collage or paint and gesso, I don't mind the paper quality itself. It's quite white, more like a cool grayish white. That's also something I don't really like, but for this price and the quality of the whole book, I'm going with it, because you can always prime your page with another color. The next paper I'm having here, that greenish one, is a jelly print. I'm using only handmade papers today. Well, most of the time I'm using handmade papers because I just prefer this against these design papers that are available in the craft stores, because I think it's a bit more unique having my own papers, and I also love creating collage papers, and I have so many and I need to use them up. This is a Chinese calligraphy paper, and I stamped this one as well with acrylic paint. I feel stamping with paint is a bit more interesting than with stamping ink, because it gives you a more painterly look, and it's also every stamped image is a bit different because it's just not perfect with acrylic paint. If you're stamping with acrylic paint, make sure to clean your stamps either right away or store them upside down on a wet towel, or just throw them in a bucket of water until you have time to clean them. But I would recommend doing it as soon as possible. You don't want to have your stamp swimming in water for days. The reddish paper is also a jelly print. I'm going to cut a circular shape out of it just to have some different shapes on my page. I also try to mix up cut edges and torn edges, and I think that makes a piece more interesting, having different shapes and different edges of the paper, and also having some transparent papers and also some that are opaque. I'm cutting 3 circles of that red paper. I always think that an odd amount of certain shapes or focal images, not really focal images, but elements, is better than if you have 2 or 4 pieces, I think it's better to have 3 or 5, if that makes sense. I think it's more harmonic to make it unbalanced. And I'm also sticking those pieces down with my glue stick. I'm now adding a layer of clear gesso on top that protects the collage, that primes my paper, and it's perfect to go on top with the wet mediums. Once the gesso is dry, I go on top with a waterproof crayon. I think it's a Neocolor I, because I plan to go on top with inks later in the process. And this is kind of a salmon color, maybe. I don't know. I don't have in mind which colors which names the Neocolors have. They are always so hard to read, and often the labels get damaged or dirty. Here I'm using also a white one, and I'm making some scribbles. I'm also making some marks on that page with a usual pencil. I really like those thin grayish marks in the background. And now it's time to add some more color to the page, and I'm using acrylic ink in burnt sienna. It's the transparent burnt sienna from Liquitex, and I really like this color combined with the papers I have, with the colors of the papers. And because of the gesso I have added to the page, it's no problem to use the ink on top of these thin papers. And I'm applying the ink with a big brush, and I'm also using water to thin it down and make it more fluid. I'm switching to a thinner round brush to just get different marks with the ink, and I also can make some splatters with it. I now go in with a turquoisey color. I think it's Stalo turquoise, also from Liquitex. And I add a little bit to this page. I know that the turquoise and the burnt sienna are mixing a really lovely green, so I don't create mud. It's always good to know what your colors are doing when you mix them directly on the page, and that they are not mixing to a muddy color. Once the inks are dry, I'm going on top with my Posca Paint pen to make some marks And I make similar patterns that I have on the left side, so everything looks cohesive. And I also really enjoy that contrast, the white against the darker background. And I really like to make dot patterns because you can make them in so many different ways. You can make them closer together, put them far apart, make smaller and bigger ones, mix smaller and bigger ones. There are so many possibilities, and I think they look quite natural and organic, and that's what I really love to do. I'm also using a turquoise Neocolor to make some more marks. I think this is a Neocolor II. It usually is water soluble, but I don't use any red mediums on top of this, so that's not important. But I really like that the Neocolor II range has a lot of more colors than the Neocolor Is, and also the Neocolor IIs are a little bit softer than the Neocolor Is. For the mark making, I like to use colors that are cohesive to the background. And here I picked also a apricot kind of Posca color. I will try to find out which exact color this is, but I'm not sure. It's been such a long time. And it's a little bit like an apricot salmon-y color. And I just create some dots far apart on my page. I'm also adding a little bit of stamping texture, and I've used the same stamp on the other page. And it's a number stamp from the Mix It Up #1 stamp set, and I'm using it with black StazOn ink. I also decided to pick a similar focal image for this spread. It's a different flower, but it's from the same stamp set as the one on the left. And I'm just searching for the right place to put it. I'm going to adhere it, and I also will adhere a sentiment to this page, and I will leave you with some photos, and you will also find photos over on the blog. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope we will see us next time. Bye!